right, what's up everybody? We're gonna go ahead and get started here in a moment. But as always, if you can hear us, as well as if you can see us in 1080p, just go ahead and give a thumbs up in the chat, and we will go ahead and get started shortly. Thanks so much for joining us. We are now back in New York City. We'll start in a moment. Go ahead and get started, everybody. Let's do this. All right, awesome. Well, good evening and welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. Today is Saturday. It is July 6th, 2024. We're currently reporting live directly outside of the Plaza Hotel. Right here, Central Park South and 5th Avenue. You can see the very, very top of the Steinway Tower, just off in the distance. And just behind us is the very famous Sherry Netherland Hotel. So what I want to do tonight, I want to go all the way to the Brooklyn Bridge. We'll try to get out of the touristy area because in the summer in New York City, it's just too crazy with all these street vendors, the pedicab people. So we'll try to avoid all that nonsense and try to head down to the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, depending on the traffic, both the pedestrian traffic and the vehicle traffic, we may double back and go over the Manhattan Bridge as opposed to the Brooklyn Bridge. But we'll have to see. The sun is still shining, which is crazy because it's about 9:12 p.m. You see that beautiful sunset overlooking the Deutsche Bank towers, and you have Central Park looking beautiful, full of leaves. So let's go ahead and head down Central Park South. Maybe we'll go all the way to Columbus Circle, and then we will make a left and go all the way down to the Brooklyn Bridge. But hopefully everybody had a wonderful, or is continuing to have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Hope everyone had a great Independence Day. I know I had a good time in Miami, and it's good to be back. Although it does kind of feel hotter, temperature-wise, in New York, which many people don't know this, particularly non-New Yorkers. It is very, very hot and humid in New York City during the summer. It feels almost like Florida weather. We're looking at the beautiful 432 Park Avenue in the distance. And let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Adriano Silva, what's up? New England Crypto, always a pleasure. I see Shannon, welcome. Sally, see Reed, TH, welcome. Lena Sandoval, RB, what's up? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, quick trip to Miami, but I may have to go right back on Friday We'll see. Solo 401, what's up? Welcome back to the Big Dance. SBK1 says hello from San Francisco, the Big SF. Now just a few quick announcements. Obviously Thursday was the greatest holiday on earth. Independence Day, the 4th of July, which landed on a Thursday, so we did not send out our free investing newsletter, but we did send it out at the close of business, so right when the market closed on Friday, so last night. So go ahead and check your email. I think you guys are going to enjoy this latest article talking about, always lean bullish on the US, the growth of the US economy. We did a few deep dives in sector focus. We talked about a sector rotation that I see that's going on. Money is now being rotated into some of the less loved names in the mega caps, such as Tesla, Amazon, and the like. So if you want to go ahead and check out all of our research for free, if you scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, it'll take you to our Substack. Now, we publish on our Substack every other Thursday, right as the market closes. But obviously this week, due to Independence Day, we sent it out on Friday. So there's a lot of good info in there. Check your email if you're already signed up. But if you want to receive it going forward and read our most recent piece, just scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email. All right, a few notable buildings to point out here, since we are back in the greatest city on earth. This is a pretty cool view of the Steinway Tower, just over 106 Central Park South, which just so happens to be the Trump Park building. That was my old building right there, the building with the gold top. And then if we turn the camera a little bit further over to the left, this is the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Residences right here on Central Park South. The address is 50 Central Park South. Great property, beautiful building. Quite expensive though. All right, let me get the QR code out of the way. Hey, Abdul is here. What's up? Troy Atmans is back in the big leagues. Yeah, we're back in New York, and my flight surprisingly was pretty good. We took off on time, landed on time. We didn't taxi on the runway for 2 hours. Pretty good, Airfare, I think, air travel, right? Post-pandemic, hasn't really been the same as pre-pandemic. I've been experiencing a lot of delays, just a lot of cancellations. So, yeah, it was a quick and easy flight out of Miami International Airport back to JFK. American Creed, what's up? Says, hey Tom, the map in your newsletter that showed the movement of millionaires throughout the world is a real eye-opener. Yeah, and it really goes to really hammer home the principle of follow the money, right? We talk about this principle all the time, is capital will go, oops, hold on one second. Sorry about that. Capital will naturally flow to the path of least resistance. So if you kind of look at that visual, let me see if I could actually pull it up here for all of you. I wanted to write a little bit more in the newsletter, but it was getting a little bit long in the tooth, so I wanted to keep it concise. But I think we should all be kind of worried here about the UK. Not to be an alarmist, but even from what I'm hearing, well, anyway, let me see if I could pull that up. So notice the places where capital is leaving. China, the United Kingdom, Nigeria, Brazil, right? Even Taiwan and Vietnam. which those are pretty good business-friendly environments. South Korea, a lot of capital flight. But the way that can be explained is, where are their neighbors, right? Their neighbors are China, which is a communist country. So you've seen the largest influx of millionaires into the United States, Switzerland, Canada, the UAE, which may surprise people, and Singapore, as well as Australia, right? What do those countries all have in common? Well, I would say quite generally stability, number one, and number two, the ease of doing business. So I would follow the money. Follow the money. Hey, Frank is here. What's up, Frank? Man, it's very, very humid out in New York City. Xavier's here. What's up? Mohammed Youssef says, hey Tom from Egypt. It's 4:19 here. Wow. Well, thanks for being up so early and walking along with us right here in New York. Beautiful night, but a little humid. This is the JW Marriott Essex House, and they just built a new steakhouse in here. Right in here. It's really, really nice. Beautiful Art Deco building. And in the backdrop, you have Central Park Tower and 220 Central Park South. Yeah, Combat Jones, the UK has tough times ahead. Unfortunately, I agree. Now, today is Saturday, so we're supposed to be a little bit light on the financial topics, I understand. Maybe we'll dive into, a deep dive into the UK maybe early on next week. And maybe I'll do a deeper dive into on a newsletter or something like that, or on a private live stream. But, even a lot of big managers and family offices that I kind of talk to and I'm in, they're ripping everything out.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Hey Francis, what's up? Good to see you. Wow, even just walking like 2 steps inside Central Park, it feels cooler already, just because of all of the trees creating this big canopy. It's really nice. Love Central Park. Hey, Tomahawk says, I see you look at the increase of billionaires as a positive, but is it also an indication of a greater two-tiered economies? Maybe, but I think the thesis of follow the money is capital is going to go to where it can grow. Not to make that rhyme. And if you look at where the money is going, it's going to countries that have those founding principles that I wrote about kind of in the newsletter, right? Where you have individual freedoms, individual property rights, essentially free markets, right? Free market capitalism, or some form thereof, right? So you're seeing mass exodus out of China, mass exodus out of Russia for obvious reasons. But even some strong economies, such as South Korea, you're even seeing capital flight. Taiwan. I would say those are probably like proximity plays, maybe quality of life plays too. Hey, Jenny Trickett, what's up? RB says, as you probably know, in addition to the direct flight to the US, Majority of capital, the Switzerland and UAE, ends up in the United States. DC 322, yeah, police on the scene for sure. Rich New Yorker says, have I been inside the Waldorf Astoria residences? Well, it's not built yet. They're building it in downtown Miami. And it is not yet, they just started construction on it. But I've seen the renderings, and I think the renderings look great. I think the renderings look absolutely fantastic at the Waldorf Astoria. Michael says, stay away from the parks, question mark. Welcome to Columbus Circle. Let's go ahead and make one lap around the circle. We haven't been here in about a week. I think with the music that loud, it kind of acts as a repellent to customers, is it not? Like if I was really hungry or if I wanted to get something to drink, I think that music would repel me away from shopping there. So I can't even hear myself think, right? So we're now making a right on Central Park West, headed towards 15 Central Park West, or the Limestone Building. What is this? Is this a new taxi service? Let's see what this is. Or maybe it's just an advertisement. Interesting. Now, I think I told you guys they have this pretty interesting service down in South Florida. It's called Freebie. And essentially they're just free taxis. And you download the app, and you can call a free taxi or a free cab, and it picks you up in a Tesla Model Y or a Tesla Model X. It's pretty cool. They have them through North Miami Beach, they have them through Sunny Isles Beach, and Mid Beach. It's pretty convenient. I'm always kind of perplexed because obviously the state of Florida doesn't have any income tax, right? There's no income tax in that state, but they have so many free services. Now, I don't know if the Freebie is a government-sponsored thing. I think it may be a private company, I don't even know, where they just are able to subsidize the rides based on the advertising. I really don't know, but it's a cool concept for sure. Here's the main entrance to 15 Central Park West. Hey, JC, what's up? Now, JC, gold is having a huge move over the weekend. Bitcoin took a little bit of a knock, but we're trying to rally back into the 60,000s. But gold is currently on an absolute tear. Let's see if it actually broke into record highs. I was watching it just as I left the office Take a look at gold, everybody. $23.91. Really, really strong rally in gold. Maybe it's trying to tell us something about inflation. Now, we did get the jobs number out. I know it's Saturday, but you know, we'll go into a little bit more detail. The unemployment rate in the US did tick up a little bit. We're at 4.1% now in the US. Not horrible. There was some, you know, hit pieces about the labor market, claiming that the labor market's getting weaker. And I'd say, well, that's kind of obvious, right? And I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing. I mean, the labor market has been running white hot for so long. Things pull back. Nothing goes up in a straight line. So I think the labor market is cooling. That should help with inflation. And with unemployment ticking up to 4.1%, I think if you put it in historical context, still at decade lows at 4.1%. This is all the congestion pricing stuff that is now gone to waste. Hey, what's up, Cosmo? We're back in New York. Good to be back. Yeah, New England cryptos is almost up 3% on the day. Now, this is a little bit of maybe anecdotal data about travel. This morning I took off right around 11, I want to say 11:15, maybe 11:30 from Miami International Airport. Number one, the flight was absolutely packed. The flight was overbooked. There were people waiting on standby to get on. And the airport was totally packed in New York City at JFK. The Delta terminal, I mean, it was like sardines. People were sandwiched in with each other. So I think you're going to start to get some data out as the summer comes to a conclusion that this has been one of the most traveled summers in the United States. It just seems like everywhere I go, and I understand that we only have a very small data set to work with, New York City and Miami, but the city seems pretty alive. Tons of tourists, tons of people at restaurants, at least from what I've seen so far. And the same thing in Miami, and this is Miami's off season. You know, July till probably about December is the off season, and it's really busy. Really busy down there. So I guess that tells you something about the economy in and of itself. Hey, Vladimir's here. What's up? Good to see you. Sunshine after rain. What's up? Kay says, what is my take on congestion pricing? Not a fan of the congestion pricing. I think the governor, Kathy Hochul, did the right thing by pulling the plug on it. But I think the planning of it was abysmal because we spent so much money on all the infrastructure for the congestion pricing, and then we don't even implement it. So, but yeah, in general, I'm very against the congestion pricing. In my view, I think it kind of acts as a tax on working class New Yorkers. I think at the very beginning of the live stream, someone was talking about like this two-tiered society, right? Extreme wealth, and then people who are just kind of getting by. A congestion tax, or congestion pricing, as they call it. I call it a tax because it is a tax. The 12, 15 bucks, whatever it is, I don't even know what it is. I mean, if you're, you know, an ultra high net worth individual in New York City, you don't really care. But if you're just an average person commuting to work, taking the kids to school, or if you're running a business, let's say if you have like an electrical contracting business, HVAC, plumbing, and you're driving your work trucks into Manhattan to do work, you know, you're going to get banged with that added tax. So again, it's not the very, very wealthy are completely insulated from it. They could care less. $15, who cares? But it really, really punishes the people who can't afford the $15 every day, or whatever it is. Let's just say, I think I'm overstating it. Let's just say it's $8, right? And let's say if you drive into the city, you know, 5 days a week, 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 52 weeks in a year, what is that? $2,080, right? So that's an extra $2,000 that people have to come up with, assuming you drive into the city every day, right? 5 days a week. That's significant for people. You know, that's significant to say, oh my God, now I have to come up with an extra $2,000 a year. I think that's pretty crazy. Now, speaking of crazy, I'm about to hit you with something that's freaking ridiculous crazy. So I'm driving to the airport, Miami International Airport, and I pull up to go park my Vespa, right, to get on the plane. And they're starting to charge $12 per day or $2 an hour to park your motorcycles. It used to be free. They tried to implement where you had to pay for it. Everybody complained, including me, and then they kind of backed off. But now they have these big signs at Miami International Airport that says, yeah, you have to pay now. It's about $2 an hour or $12 a day to park your motorcycle. So I usually park my Vespa there for, you know, 25 days. 12 times 25, boom, that's an extra $300 expense out of nowhere, right? That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Now, generally speaking, who are the people that are driving their Vespas or scooters or motorcycles to the airport? Well, I know it's majority of people who work for the airlines, you know, middle-class jobs, or the mechanics, or they're the flight attendants who now have to take on this extra cost. And I guess I'll just Uber it now. And I'll spend $35 on the Uber because there's no way in hell I'm gonna spend $300 a month to leave my bike at the airport. It's ridiculous. So it's all these nickel and dime and craziness. And it's like, is Miami International Airport really that hard up for the $12 a day? Right? It's been free forever. And I think one of the reasons why Florida has seen such explosive growth in its economy and people coming there is because they don't do crap like that, right? They don't nickel and dime you for everything. But, you know, I think that the government sees that so many people are moving here down to South Florida, particularly from states like New York, states like California, where the people, and this is just my assumption, by the way, so the state of Florida is like, look, we have all these New Yorkers, all these people from Connecticut, all these people from California that are used to getting hosed, right? They're used to getting hosed. They're used to paying all these high taxes. They're used to paying, you know, for every little thing, right? And they slowly start to implement it across the state because they're like, these people will put up with it. So it kind of sucks to see. I know it's a little bit trivial that it's just, you know, $300. It's not like at the end of the world, but that's kind of the start, right? It starts at $300, and then the next thing you know, you're back to New York pricing, and then there's no benefit. Maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. All right, now this is the beautiful 157, and it looks like they're completely ripping up the road here on 57th Street too. Now the building right across the street from us is the Osborne. If you go on Street Easy or Zillow and look at some of the apartments there, beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous. apartments. There's this one listing that's right in the Osborne. It's technically an apartment, but they converted the entire thing into this office. So it's like a massive, massive office. Beautiful library, these amazing crown moldings everywhere. It's really, really beautiful. Hey, what's up, RJ? Good to see you. Welcome back to New York City. We're coming up on Carnegie Hall, then we're gonna make a right and head all the way back down. Yeah, Kristen S says I would Uber too. That's crazy. There's no way. Yeah, it's just too much. I think that's excessive. Now the funny thing is, when I went there, usually the whole entire lot is filled with bikes. I think it was me and like 2 other people that had their bikes parked there. So the lot is probably just gonna sit empty, and maybe like 1 or 2 people will pay. We'll see. Sunshine NYC says I always Uber to the airports. The thing is, if you Uber to the airports in New York City, oftentimes the Uber to the airport is more expensive than the flight itself. Particularly if you're coming from LaGuardia, and if you land late at night, and let's say if it's raining or something, it is going to be at least $100 plus, maybe like $120. Just to Uber it back to the city. So I'll probably just buy myself extra time and just take public transportation. Maybe when I'm in Miami, you can take, I think you could take the Metro rail. But in New York, I always take the air train. This is the backside of Carnegie Hall. Right here on West 56th Street and 7th. Kristen S says we paid big bucks for an Uber to LaGuardia last time we visited, but the bus and subway route was rough with suitcases. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, LaGuardia doesn't really have good public transportation to the city. That's why I always try to fly JFK. JFK has really good transportation. You just take the air train to Jamaica. I think it's maybe $425, $450 each way for the air train now. And then the Long Island Railroad from Jamaica to Penn Station, an off-peak fare. I think they just raised it. I think it's $825. So for less than $15, you can get from JFK to the city. That's not bad. That's actually not bad. Hey, Jason Francis, what's up? Kristen S says I wanted JFK, but our non-stop flight from New Orleans went to LaGuardia. Copy that. Makes sense. Rich New Yorker says you could take it for $3. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the bus. I just get sick on the bus. It's not that I get motion sickness, it's just the smell of the bus just gives me a headache. I don't know why. I'd much rather just take the train or the subway. Hey, Kimani, they used to have buses you could catch to LaGuardia, Newark, and JFK from the Port Authority. It used to be about $20. This was when I lived there in the early 2000s. Not sure if it's still a thing. I never knew that, honestly. That's pretty interesting. So you're talking about from 42nd Street and 8th Avenue, the Port Authority bus terminal, $20 bus to JFK, LaGuardia, or Newark? That's actually not bad. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of the bus, so I would never do that, but for people that don't mind, that's not a bad deal. But I think now, let's actually make this right. I can't listen to that music all the way down. I think I don't think you, in terms of time, right? So if we're talking about the amount of time door to door, I don't think you can compete with the Long Island Railroad to the air train. It's just so fast. There's no traffic. Like, let's say if you catch a yellow cab or an Uber, it's a lot of money and you're waiting in traffic. It's a lot of stop and go, you know, and you could potentially miss your flight. So, I don't know. I still think that Long Island Railroad air train is the way to go. I mean, what would you guys say? If you had a preferred travel method to get from any of the airports to Manhattan, what would it be? I'm saying the train. Solo 401 says the subway. Yeah, I think, what is it, the A train that'll take you from Jamaica into the city. Jim Vine says, yeah, the bus was great, $20 one way. Unfortunately, they got rid of it a few years ago. It used to be so easy, not so much these days. Wow, I never knew about that bus. Never knew about it. This is the Ed Sullivan Theater, Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Pam says I would just call a friend. Yeah, that's true. True. Kay says it used to be a private car before Uber and Lyft for a flat $50. Yeah, those black car services. I think it's probably a lot more now. K4's town car. Esmeralda, what's up? Welcome back to New York City. It's good to see you. Ren 1018 says no thanks for taking the subway, 1 hour and a half subway ride into Manhattan. Some people, I think I did it once. But for the extra, what is it, 12 bucks? Definitely doing the air train. And my biggest critique about the air train is that they didn't have the tap and go. You know what I mean? Like you know how you could just pay with your phone, now you just tap and you go. So it was a bunch of tourists, and I'm not, you know, insulting the tourists. I mean, if I was not from New York, I'd be doing the same thing. They're fumbling around and don't know how to swipe the Metro card on the air train. They don't know how to pay for it, and so the line was so far backed up. You were like sandwiched like sardines. You couldn't even get off the platform. And finally, they installed that tap to pay, and now the traffic runs so smooth now. There's no issues at the air train, which is good. I think that Omni thing is the best thing this city's ever done, the tap to pay. Now, the subways, I mean, at this point, right, and I'm not even trying to be facetious or be funny or crude or anything, I think the way things are working now with the subway, they should just take out the turnstiles. There's just no use anymore. Every time, not even joking, every time I take the subway during a work day, I feel as if I'm the only one paying. Everybody, it's like you're watching the Olympics. They're hurtling over. I don't know what that sport is called. You ever see the track races where they're hurtling over those hurdles? Everyone, I'd say everyone under the age of 30, they're freaking just jumping right over that thing. It's like I'm the only one who pays. It's ridiculous. So I think the city should just rip it out and make it free, because nobody's paying for it besides me anyway. It's crazy. And then the city's like wonders, you know, oh, where's all the money? You know, why is the MTA running at a deficit? Well, because everybody jumps the turnstiles, and then you want to implement the congestion pricing. Anyway, I'll digress. But I feel like such a jerk. Because I'm like rushing to the train, I'm getting out my phone, I'm trying to do the double tap and have my facial recognition, and then I just see like 10 people just hurtle over the subway thing. And it's like, man, why am I even paying this thing? Yeah, 456, I've noticed that too. So 456 is he's noticed that the MTA has hired security to watch the people. And I noticed that too. So They have those security people at 34th Street Penn Station. They have it at the Hudson Yards. And it's a double waste of money. So the MTA is paying these security guards to stand there and watch everyone jump the turnstile. It's crazy. So we got to pay them $25 an hour to spectate people jumping the turnstile. It's crazy. Solo 401 says I've seen cops just watch them jump. Oh yeah, dude, and there's police all over the place. Very, very rarely will they stop somebody. Now, I'm not saying they don't, they do, right? But very rarely. And I support the NYPD. I think the NYPD is fantastic, but some of these cops at 34th Street, I see them, they're just, you know, MTA cops, NYPD, they're just on their phones, they're texting, they're playing Tetris on their phones, and everybody's just jumping through the gates. Everybody is. All right, we're headed down to the heart of Times Square. You can see the Barclays Investment Bank here. Hey, what's up, Zozo Bob? Zozo Bob. I was walking the perimeter of Brickell Key a few days ago, and I'm excited to upload that video because we got a little bit of a peek into the construction site of that new Mandarin Oriental residences on Brickell Key. I'm really excited for that project. Now, it's supposed to be 2 towers, am I right? So they're 2 separate towers, one of which is going to be the residences. The other one is going to be the hotel. The residences is going to be 850 feet tall, so that's going to look crazy being on Brickell Key. And then once both of those towers are complete, they're going to tear down the original Mandarin Oriental, which opened in 2000, if I'm correct. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on down there. Pretty excited. Now, Barclays Investment Bank, this used to be Lehman Brothers. So we always say, if you've ever watched one of those documentaries on the financial crisis, this is, you know, they pretty much filmed all the bankers coming out of the revolving doors right there at Lehman Brothers. Zozo Bob says, yes, 2 towers and the residences is the taller one. I can't, you know, thinking about, and maybe you could look this up, you probably know. What's the tallest tower right now on Brickell Key? Because 850 feet is going to look monstrous, towering over everything else. We'll see. I'm excited about it. Hey, Fluid says, hey Tom, I'm thinking about relocating to New York City from London to work in the wealth management industry. Do you think this is a good move? I think that's a fantastic move. I think that's a wonderful move. I think you should do it. I really, really do.
Picture. 2 people don't make it.
If you want to work on Wall Street, and particularly if you're just starting your career, there's still no other city to do it like New York, by far. So if you want to move to New York City from London, I say do it 100%, and I think you're going to be really, really successful here. And there's definitely no shortage of wealth to manage in this city. Let's just say that. Anyway, this is West 50th Street. Let's actually check on this dim sum restaurant. Maybe it opened in the few days that we've been gone. It's supposed to be a really good restaurant here. Kristen asks, Tom, what is the best way, in your opinion, to get from LaGuardia to 8th Avenue? See, I'm not an expert on LaGuardia because I never fly out of there because I hate it. Maybe the bus or just maybe an Uber, but the Uber is going to cost you money. But I think those are really the only two ways to get out of there. It's just the bus and an Uber. I would say try to fly into JFK if possible because it's so convenient. It looks like it's not open just yet, but I'm excited for this spot. Esmeralda says the Panorama Tower is at 868 feet. Yeah, so imagine the Panorama Tower standing on the island of Brickell Key. That's going to look really weird. I don't know how that's going to look in the skyline because, I don't know, it's going to be on the very, very southernmost tip of Brickell Key. And I'm not saying it's going to look weird in a bad way. It's just going to look it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to watch it being built as we stream live. But David says, why do you hate LaGuardia? Well, I'm from South Shore, Long Island. I live about maybe 30 minutes away from JFK, from Massapequa. And it's so much easier to get into Manhattan from John F. Kennedy Airport. As we've explained, you could just take the air train from JFK to Jamaica Station and Jamaica to New York City. And now with the East Side Access Project, you could take your pick. You could either go to Penn Station or you could go to Grand Central Station now. K4 says it will look weird until someone builds something taller. Well, here's the thing. Swire Properties, who is the developer who bought that plot of land, that is the last buildable plot of land on Brickell Key, if I'm not mistaken. There's literally no more room there. So, Kamani says LaGuardia isn't really convenient for anyone in New York City unless you live close. That's true. They definitely need a train that goes there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there was plans to extend a train that goes there, but there was a big petition with throughout some of those neighborhoods that they didn't want it going there. There was also going to be a connector bridge from the North Shore of Long Island to Connecticut. And of course, everyone on the North Shore complained and everyone in Connecticut complained because they didn't want the through traffic. But I mean, think about how awesome that would be. I mean, think about how so convenient that would be if you could just drive across the bridge from the North Shore of Long Island to Connecticut. That would be freaking awesome. But of course, you know, all those people on the North Shore of Long Island are, well, they just don't want it in their neighborhood. I get it, but it would have made things a lot more convenient for sure. Yeah, Sean Paul says nowadays it's pretty hard to build anything in America. Canada also. I was reading something about how Trudeau is trying to make a really, really big push to ease up the regulations so they could build more housing in Canada. Oftentimes we talk about the housing crisis right here in the United States and in New York City, but I'm not sure if we have any Canadians in the chat. From what I know, some of my friends in Canada and from some of the people who watch the broadcast who email me, the housing market in Toronto is crazy. Major cities across Canada, I mean, for just a modest normal house, you're talking like 700,000 CAD plus. And that's not even for anything, you know, luxury. That's just a normal, just like a normal house. It's crazy. And I think if you want to get something decent in and around Toronto, you're probably looking at like maybe 900,000 CAD or maybe even more. So it's not just the US. I think, you know, it's everywhere. Generally speaking, where it's desirable to live, where there's a lot of good job opportunities, it's going to be expensive, you know, supply and demand, and we need to be building more housing for sure. I wonder what bus this is. I think it's coming from the Capitol. Who here remembers the Hampton Jitney? I think that's still around. They used to take off in Lincoln Center. Sabine ends as a normal house, starts at 1 million CAD plus. Wow. Lisa Roberts says, my cousin is leaving Toronto, Canada to live in Florida. Jeff in Southern Tier, New York. Welcome back to the big dance. Welcome back to New York City. Sabanes is here in Toronto. You can get a shack for 1 million CAD. Jeez. All right, so let's play this out. For 1 million CAD, right? What proximity, what would your commute be to like downtown Toronto, like to the business district? If you buy a single family home, just a modest home, not talking anything luxury, what's the average commute time, would you say? Is it similar to Long Island where it's like 40 minutes to an hour? Like, because if that's the case, it's pretty much just like the same setup as Long Island. Have you ever walked through Chelsea Market? Yeah, all the time. This is probably the best time of year to do it too. Chelsea Market. Now, before I left from Miami, we also took a walk through the Little Island, which is a really cool park. Which is close to Chelsea Market. Meatpacking district kind of neighborhood area. All that stuff is really, really nice. Hey, what's up, Alan? Welcome back to NYC. Thank you, sir. It's good to be back. It feels like we're still in Miami with the humidity here. Stephen Long says, Tom, you can't even get a shack for 1 million CAD in Vancouver. Just a condo unit, possibly with 2 toilets. Wow. So what would you say is a tighter housing market, Vancouver or Toronto, for all of those Canadian viewers? Sabine says it would take you about 45 minutes to 1 hour via car to get downtown, but construction always delays things. I feel as if that's just like New York. If you buy a house out on Long Island, I mean, you can still get something out on Long Island for like 700. It may need a little bit of work, but if you drive in, that's how long it's going to take. It's going to take 45 minutes. If you take the LIRR, it's going to take the same amount, but you won't have to worry about driving and all that nonsense. Maybe we'll have to do a live stream in Toronto. Hey, fuck, what's going on? Jimmy B says, Tom, I heard there's a concert at Little Island tonight. Maybe we'll check it out. We'll head down that way. MFG says driving in downtown Toronto is craziness. Arlo says, thanks again, love watching. It's different from the res in Oklahoma. Be safe and thanks. Thank you for watching all the way from Oklahoma. Appreciate it. Melissa 2087. Yeah, it feels hotter in Manhattan today than it did this morning in Miami, for sure. And that's just because if you're in Midtown Manhattan, it's literally baking. All the concrete is baking in the sun. There's no trees, and it's crazy humid. The subway platforms are disgusting when it's very, very humid out, but I actually like this weather, so I'd much rather be walking around in 90 degrees and 80% humidity than 20 degrees and whipping winds, so I'm not going to complain. This is officially Restaurant Row right here on 8th Avenue. I feel like we've been walking down 8th Avenue a lot more often lately. This lot right here is going to be the brand new Torch building by Extel. Cosmo Scariest is true, better than the winter. Oh, you can't even compare it. Because Cosmo, and let me know if you agree, like, it just feels like you can take advantage of a lot more things in the city when it's sunny, it's beautiful, and it's hot out. Like in the winter, it's like you gotta hide away inside, it's freezing, you can't take advantage of Little Island, you can't go to the Hudson Yards. It's just like you can't access half the city unless you wanna, you know, be battling and be miserable. But it feels like the city really opens up and there's so much to do in the summer. So I would rather have it 90 degrees, 60% humidity, walking around Central Park, going down to Battery Park, Union Square, Washington Square Park. It's awesome. There's just really no other way to explain it. It's just amazing. Because guys, before you know it, last week was the official end of Q2. We're now into the second half of the year, if you can believe that. So, oh, I thought that guy was pushing that lady in the bike lane. I was about to tell him, don't do that, get on the sidewalk. So he was just catching a cab. But yeah, the city is really alive tonight. Yeah, Trade Brigade, what's up? Welcome back to New York City. This is bank earnings coming on Friday. It's crazy, right? We're already about to kick off another earnings season, and it feels like we just kind of got a little bit of a break. Wild. Now, Trade Brigade, I'm glad you're here because I have a few questions. Oops, sorry. Something that I'm seeing in the market right now, a lot of these kind of beaten down SaaS names, right, that were going on a 3-year bear market since the top in 2021. A lot of those names are setting up now, and earnings are starting to ramp on some of these names. Sales are starting to ramp on some of these names. So what I think could possibly keep this market afloat is you get a little bit of a cooling in some of these mega caps, and in all of those junky SaaS names, which are actually starting to, you know, turn a profit now. I think you're gonna see the market rotate into those. Like, here's a perfect example, and I tweeted about this today. Palantir, right, which was the biggest hype nonsense stock of 2021. It's been building out this really nice IPO base, and you have double-digit sales growth, you have double-digit earnings growth. Now, granted, the double-digit earnings growth is on like 80 cents, but still, it's building out a really, really nice base. Palantir, Datadog, a lot of them are setting up nicely, so I actually may have to buy Palantir over this swing high. I mean, what is your take on that? Are you kind of seeing the same thing? Let me see if I can pull up the chart. Oh, damn. knocked off by a truck. Oh, and Trade Brigade. Look at this. As we're doing the broadcast, gold is printing. Almost $2,400 on gold right now. Let's see. PLPR. Great day on Friday for Palantir. $27. Let me see if I can turn my phone to the other way. All right, you're not really gonna be able to see it too well, but that is a very, very symmetrical IPO stage 1 base. You can see where it had the big sell-off, building out the right side of that base, and I think you could hit that into record highs. Trade Brigade's definitely seeing those swing highs looking attractive. I do see Amazon and Tesla, the discretionary names, starting to heat up. XLY broke a major swing high as well. Yeah, it looks like, you know, a lot of stuff is in gear, or it looks to be going in gear. So it should be interesting to see how this plays out. But you do have actionable names that you could probably buy here. I'm not telling anybody to buy anything, but when does Palantir report earnings? I'm trying to Google that. Another one, Trade Brigade, is Netflix. And I think Netflix has earnings in a few weeks. That is trading at $6.90, almost back, pretty much back at its new high. I think you could, I'm probably gonna buy that in the highs. We'll see. Alright, here we are at the Port Authority. Trade Brigades is BNKG. Let me see. Yeah, you're right. That looks really good. Looks very, very good. All right, let's try to get out of Times Square now. Guys, look at how crowded it is tonight. And a Cybertruck. Now, speaking of Cybertrucks and EVs, somebody sent me this Wall Street Journal article today. If you just Google lithium, Wall Street Journal, the article will pop up. And the article was essentially saying how lithium is in free fall in terms of the price. The price of lithium is in free fall, and how it probably is going to have a lot longer to fall before it bottoms. I think that's very, very good news, those type of articles coming out. You've already started to see a lot of these Tesla hit pieces coming out, particularly from some analysts who've actually been backing Tesla since day one. They're starting to get very negative. I think that's very positive for the stock. Tesla has rallied, I think, almost 50% from where we were all saying, look, I think this thing bottomed. You know, we said we were, you know, we never like to call bottoms, but we said if we had to call a bottom, I said I think that stock, Tesla, probably bottomed in April. And it looks like it did. Brigade, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the rest of your 4th of July. And happy trading. All right, the crowds should subside a little bit. I feel like I just got done with the workout walking through Times Square. Now, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these every day starting at 8:45. And we're gonna head all the way down to the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. So we'll go through Tribeca. Maybe we'll check out the 9/11 Memorial and walk down Wall Street past Federal Hall. How's the internet holding up tonight? Also, as a quick announcement for those of you who are just joining, obviously this Thursday was the 4th of July, so we didn't send out our investing newsletter, but we did send it out on Friday. So go ahead and check your email, because we did send out the Behind the Street newsletter. And if you want to sign up to receive all of our market research for free every other Thursday, right as the market closes, you can just go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and it's going to take us to the Substack page. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this most recent article I sent last night, so go ahead and check it out. We have about 2 years worth of archived research, and again, we email it right to your inbox every other Thursday, right at the closing bell. Walk right past the New Yorker Hotel. Millerons is just curious, are most of the stores still open? I'd say most of them, yeah. I'd say most of them all up and down 8th Avenue. And the closer that you get to Times Square, most of the stuff will be open. But for example, as we head through Gramercy and as we head through Chelsea, much of the retail is closed. Much of the retail does close at around 8 o'clock, sometimes even a little bit earlier, to be honest. But yeah, it's a good question. Mostly around the big hubs, like 34th Street, Penn Station, like you'll see most everything is open. I'm not gonna say 24/7, but close to it. But Lower Manhattan, Tribeca, Gramercy, things close pretty early. All right, let me get the QR code off the screen here. Mike G says, I like the Human Rights Index. I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, and Mike, click the link that I put in that newsletter and take a look around, play around with that website. That is such a good website for data. It has so much data. And I guess the general thesis about human rights is, if you notice, there's no coincidence here that the countries who have the most ample amount of human rights and individual freedoms, generally speaking, have the strongest economies and attract the best and the brightest people from all over the world. Because if you're from, let's say if you're not from the United States, right? And you're highly educated, you get a degree, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go abroad in search for opportunity. Well, any rational person would want to move to a place where they have individual freedoms, particularly individual property rights. I think that's oftentimes overlooked. People don't understand how important that is. People want to know that what they're working towards, they're going to have a personal sense of ownership on property. And by and large, the United States provides that, right? We say to the rest of the world, if you come here and if you work hard, you have a shot, not a guarantee. This is very important. You have a shot, not a guarantee, of the American dream. You can get a job, you can practice whatever religion you want, whatever sexuality you are, nobody cares, and you can have individual freedoms and individual property rights here. And that is what attracts so many immigrants to America, right? We gave that statistic talking about the H-1B visa, and in 2023, we hit a new all-time record high for H-1B visa applicants. I think over 780,000, and the cap is 85,000. And these are all people with really highly advanced and impressive degrees. Bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctorates, PhDs. And by and large, they're in waiting lists, right? Beating down the door to take their talents here to the US to work at America's greatest companies, grow our economies, and start their lives here, which is very, very encouraging. And I think so long as that fundamental framework, constitutional values, right? July 4th, 1776, so long as that holds, you know, this isn't going to end. You know, American prosperity will not end, will not conclude. All right, we finally made it to 34th Street. Look at the Empire State Building. Let's wait to cross the street. We'll have better views of the Empire over there. Hey, Troy Atman says, Tom, Elon Musk guessed that we'll have superhuman AI that's smarter than any other human by the end of next year, 2025. I wonder how many scientific breakthroughs we will see with superhuman AI. Yeah, I wonder too. You're probably going to be looking at cures for diseases, cures for cancers. And that's kind of why one of my guesses for the next decade is, you know, every decade has their bull market in a specific sector, right? The last decade was enterprise software and SaaS by far, right? I mean, if anybody's owned an enterprise software stock or had any exposure to the enterprise software over the last decade, chances are you're feeling pretty well in your retirement accounts. But I think the next decade, and I could be wrong, I think it's going to be a big biotech renaissance. I really, really do. And I think that's going to be caused by all these breakthroughs with AI. Let me give you one more good shot of the Empire. You know, a lot of these gene editing companies like CRISPR gene editing will literally, and again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a scientist, nothing like that, but it'll be able to edit your DNA structure to essentially edit out all of these diseases and cancers. It could get really crazy. So I think perhaps the next renaissance is going to be in biotech. Some big breakthroughs in biotechnology. And if you want to take it a more creepier, maybe creepy isn't the good descriptive term, but if you want to take it a step further, I think a lot of the technology going on with Neuralink is really going to do some amazing things. amazing things. Hey, Hang with Mark Mom, happy 4th of July weekend. Trust you're doing well. Hang with Mark Mom says, hey Tom, hope you had a fantastic 4th of July. I live in my pool now with all my heat advisory and I know, it's crazy. Yeah, I had an awesome 4th of July. I couldn't have asked for a better 4th of July. I was at Haulover Inlet, Haulover Beach, if anybody knows where that is in South Florida. Unbelievable fireworks display. Now, it's nothing like Macy's, right? It's nothing like New York City, but it's very, very unique because the fireworks are freaking blowing off all over the place, and it lights up the palm trees. You can see the water. There's so many boats in the water. It just was an unbelievable thing. It was awesome. So I enjoyed it. Hopefully you had a good one too. Hey, Dan Sangs, Tom, have you finished watching Owning Manhattan on Netflix yet? I haven't. I don't have Netflix. I have to check it out. Which I'm glad the show is doing. Hold on, let me just get away from this guy. I'm glad the show is doing really well. Because apparently the ratings are insane, and Netflix reports earnings in I think next week or in 2 weeks, and the stock is trading just a tad under a new record, and I think those type of big blockbuster hits is what's going to drive the stock into new highs, give people a reason to buy subscriptions. And you know, $1 Million Listing New York was a very, very successful franchise. And I think this new show, I haven't seen it, but I think this will be very successful too. Hey, what's up, Triple G? This is when the market actually broadens. Biotech stocks should look really attractive. AI software paired with that will accelerate things as well, says Triple G. Lisa Roberts is sorry, I don't want Elon's or anyone's chip in my brain. I get it, trust me. But I want to say I agree with you, but I also don't want to be on the wrong side of things. Here's how I kind of look at it. It seems really freaky to us right now that we would have a chip in our head. It really, really does, and I understand that. But there was a time where everybody laughed at the fact that everyone would be walking around with a cell phone 24/7, 365, right? Now, if you leave your house without your cell phone, it's like you have a panic attack. It's like your day is ruined. Oh my God, I can't do business. I can't do anything. I've lost my phone. What the heck? It's like you're inoperable. You know, people thought that was going to be crazy. And now you see like 15-year-old, you know, preteens walking around with cell phones now. I think you'll slowly start to see the normalization of these chip implants. You're already starting to see it with pets. I mean, how many people here in the chat have chips in their pets for tracking their pets? You know, 10 years ago that was weird, but now it's normal to, you know, chip your dog or your cat. And with Neuralink, right, I understand why people are skeptical, but this is what I would say. If you go to Twitter, right, or x.com, which it's now called since Elon Musk bought it, look at Elon's pinned post or his pinned tweet. And I still think it's up there, but it's the Neuralink, essentially the demo. The first ever successful implant that's in this kid's head. And it's really, really successful. The guy is paralyzed from his shoulders down. He seems like a really nice guy. He's in his 20s. He had this crazy accident, which unfortunately left him paralyzed from the shoulders down. He got the chip implant, so he has the Neuralink in his head, and he's able to control his mouse on the computer and play chess just by thinking about it, just by using his brain, which is unbelievable. So if you can do that now, right? If we can do that now, have somebody play chess by just thinking about where they're going to move the pieces, what do you think he's going to be able to do in 10 years, in 12 years? He's probably going to be able to walk again. That's a possibility. So I wouldn't totally say, there's no way I'm gonna do that. I don't know. You may be surprised. You may be surprised. So, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm just trying to be optimistic about it. But the video of the first successful Neuralink implant was just such a beacon of hope and a beacon of light. I was like, wow, this kid could potentially walk again, which is wild. Hey, Colton Manning, what's up? So I saw a video of someone doing something similar with the prosthetic limbs, for sure. Says Tom, I thought you wanted to be in New York City for the 4th of July. I did, but it was just too nice down there, so I just stayed a few extra days. Tom H says, I think it's the Panorama Tower in Brickell Key. Well, the Panorama Tower isn't on Brickell Key. That's in Brickell. Brickell Key is its own separate island. Hey Ramiro, thank you so much for your very generous $10 donation. Thank you for your support. And I appreciate it very, very much. Let's take one quick walk through Vernado for our friend Doc 7. This is the brand new entrance to Madison Square Garden. And it looks really, really good. Look at that. Hey, Sabrina Fair, what's going on? Penelope, welcome. Kristen says we'd be susceptible for being under someone's total control if humans had chips. No thanks. Maybe. Maybe you're right. But you know what I was thinking about the other day? You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about technology and freedom. And not just technology like the cell phone, right? All types of technology. Now, the automobile, right? The automobile. When the automobile first came about, it was like a nice to have thing, right? And then it caught such momentum and such steam where it turned out that pretty much everybody needed a car. It's like something that you need. You need to have a car, right? Now, do you think that gave us more freedom or less freedom? We're able to drive where we want, you know, go on road trips, vacations, not tell anybody about things, you know, just pick up and go. I don't know, I would maybe argue that that led to less personal freedom. You gotta register your vehicle, you gotta pay insurance, you know, the government knows who's driving, driver's license, all this stuff, right? But I think it's a huge net positive for society to have cars. Now, number two, when you had the cell phones come out, there's that noise. Now, when you had the cell phones come out, it was the same thing. It was kind of like a nice to have, not everybody needed it, and now everyone has to have it, or you pretty much can't operate. And that made our lives a lot better, but you've pretty much given up more freedom, right? If you don't think that every single text message that you send, every single phone call that you've made isn't stored somewhere on a big database where the government can access, you're sadly mistaken. But I take that trade-off, right? Because phones and things like that have made our lives so much better. It's increased efficiencies. But with each new step in technology, if you think about it, you give up more and more of your freedom, so to speak. But I think people are willing to accept that, at least I am, because it makes your life that much better. You know, how many people here have like an Amazon Alexa or, you know, any type of AI assistant? You know that if the government really, really wanted to, they could listen to every single thing you're saying to your Alexa, and Amazon is literally training these algorithms based upon the commands and based upon the way you talk to your Alexa, right? So if you continue, like just little things. Let's say, you know, for some reason you always ask your Alexa, you know, what the weather is like in the Bahamas, right? It'll know, like, okay, this person for some reason is interested in the Bahamas. Maybe I'll continue to serve up advertising of cruises to the Bahamas, right? So it makes our lives easier, all technology, but it's an invasion of our privacy and an erosion of freedom. I think that's just the reality we have to accept, right? It's going to be the same thing with these Neuralinks. It's going to be the same thing with the Tesla bot. It's going to make things extremely easy on us in terms of quality of life, but there's just no more privacy anymore. I mean, it's just totally obvious. That's another reason why my kind of rebuttal to these people that are like, no, we don't want a digital currency because the government's going to be able to turn off our bank accounts, and we want physical money. We really want physical money to stay, because if it's digital, then we'll have all these, you know, social credit scores, and the government will be able to shut down our bank accounts. To which I say, they could already do that now. If you don't think the government could just, you know, make one phone call to Jamie Dimon and say, yep, boom, turn that down, you're debanked. Or boom, your credit card doesn't work. They already have that power. So I think the way I kind of think about it is the fundamental principles of America, I still think are very, very strong. You gotta watch out for the heroin needles. I almost stepped on a few the other night. Where it'll always kind of prevent that massive government overreach. But I don't think we should stifle innovation just because of these fears, which I think are very, very valid fears. But technology in the world needs to move on, I think. I don't know, maybe I'm off base, but that's kind of how I think about it. Lisa Roberts says, no, we need options. I agree, but I just think the way free market capitalism is structured, if nobody's using these resources, they're going to go away, and in is going to come a new, better solution, right? I think digital payments, fintech, and digital transactions are awesome. It's so convenient, right? This is the convenience and freedom thing again. It's convenient for me to go on the subway and just tap my phone to pay, right? I don't have to fumble around with the Metro card machine and putting in a bunch of money and getting change and swiping a physical card. I could just tap my phone. But then again, you know, that's more big data, companies collecting data on me. They know everywhere I go based upon where I swipe, obviously, right? Every time I tap my phone, that's a ping to say, oh, you're always at 34th Street, or oh, you're always at 59th Street, Columbus Circle. So it's convenience at the cost of privacy and I guess what you could call freedom. It's an interesting conversation to have for sure. All right, everyone. We are now headed into Koreatown, 32nd Street, Korea Way. I know, 456 says these days only suckers tap the subway. That's true. I feel like I'm the only one who pays it at certain times, for sure. Rocky Rocks, they will make humans into robots with Neuralink, and that's it with human race. Steph UF says my car predicts where I am going and gives me travel time. You know, that's another thing. Self-driving, FSD, full self-driving, increase in productivity, increase in convenience, takes a little bit of your freedom away, right? Triple G says data harvesting is everything, or is everywhere you look nowadays. Even supermarkets do it with digital coupons, for sure. I mean, Tesla is probably the biggest company that does data harvesting, right? And that's why I believe Tesla is so far ahead of every single other auto OEM. Every time a Tesla drives, all of that driving data is being recorded, right? To make full self-driving that much better, that much more efficient. But then again, your car knows all your travel patterns. It knows where you stop for coffee. What time do you usually stop for coffee, right? Everything, pretty much. KML says full self-driving cars, thanks but no thanks. I like to be in control. Well, I think it's inevitable. I think it's coming. But I definitely see your point. I could see your point why you'd be a little bit uncomfortable with it, but I think the overarching theme, I believe full self-driving will be a big net positive for society. All right, everyone, welcome to New York City's Koreatown. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams almost every night, starting at 8:45. Hey, Teresa Diaz, what's up? See you, TD. Hopefully you had a wonderful 4th of July. Paul McNeely says, Tom, the problem is when someone disagrees with you for some reason, they could have the power to lock you out of accounts if you don't have options. I totally agree. The possibility is there, which, to Paul's point, and guys, here's a perfect example of kind of what Paul was saying, right? We've seen this already in Canada during COVID. The government debanked the protesters, the truckers. They seized their bank accounts, they've seized their assets, they can do it already. That's the point I'm trying to make. They already have the power to do this already. Which, I for one, if you want an alternative, that's why I have exposure to Bitcoin. It is the only unconfiscatable asset. It's permissionless, right? If I want to send 100 grand to my brother, right, via wire, Jamie Dimon has to approve that, right? And then you ask a million fucking questions. Oh, why are you sending it? Who are you sending it to? Why? For what? What are you going to spend it on? Who? Taxes this. But if I want to send $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, I just roll over the side of my bed and boom, in 2 seconds it's sent halfway around the world if you want, and it's permissionless and it's unconfiscatable. So I think that is maybe the hedge. And maybe that's why you're seeing such a strong rally in Bitcoin and gold, right? We talked about gold tonight. Gold is rallying like crazy. Gold, as we speak, is going absolutely gangbusters. Let's see where it's at right now. Let me go to a daily. I think we're almost back at 2,400 gold. We'll look at futures. Yeah, we're almost at 2,400 gold now. So maybe that'll be the balancing act. All right, we're heading down Broadway. Pam says, Tom, you need to keep enough cash to live for at least 2 years. No thanks. 2 years worth of cash just sitting there? That doesn't seem like a good... You need to do the time value of money calculation. If you do an appropriate time value of money calculation, I think that's way too much. You need to have that out in the marketplace generating returns. Another Cybertruck. Damn, New York City is really going crazy with the Cybertrucks. What do you guys think? Thumbs up or thumbs down on the Cybertruck? I love it. Love this. Hey, Patrick D, what's up? Happy 4th of July. Kristen S says, what backs Bitcoin? I would read the book, The Bitcoin Standard. Very, very good book, and you could listen to the audiobook too. I really like the front of the car. Now, I want to make an observation. I think this is really, really important. Really, really important here, everybody. Everybody pay attention very, very carefully here. Now, we've been talking about how we believe, or I believe, that Tesla stock has bottomed in April. The bottom is definitely in. But I just want you guys to notice something, right? Every time you see a Cybertruck, I ask the audience in the chat, what do you guys think about it, right? Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. And about half the people give it a thumbs up, and half the people give it a thumbs down. But what do you also notice when we walk past the Cybertruck, whether we're in Miami or whether we're in New York? What do you guys notice? And this is very important. You notice that at least 4, 5, or 6, or 10 people plus, it draws a crowd. Whether people like it or not, people stop to take pictures of it. Everyone. And attention is money. Whether you like Elon Musk or not, whether you like Tesla or not, whether you think this thing looks absolutely ridiculous or not, it doesn't matter. That thing's gonna print money. And that concept, right, the concept that it draws attention, no other car will do that. Not even a Bugatti. If a Bugatti was parked on the side of the street, you would not have as many people taking photos of it than you do the Cybertruck. No shot. Even if there was a Lambo, nobody cares. This walks right past it. Rolls Royce, nobody cares. Walks right past it. But the Cybertruck, people that hate it, people that think it's ugly, they stop to make a comment, to take pictures of it. It gets people talking. And that is such a rarity for a company to have. And I think so many people underestimate that. That is huge, huge. That's all I'll say. And I think just that simple little minuscule factor alone, I think a lot of analysts are underestimating that fact. Like, is anybody talking about the newest, Toyota Camry? No, nobody cares. Like, what other EV? I think Fisker, that EV manufacturer, just filed for bankruptcy and nobody even really talked about it. There was maybe one headline, well, it went bankrupt, I guess nobody cares. But that, That's crazy. That's a lot of attention. Hey, Unit J23. Says I agree. I even notice regular Tesla cars all the time. Yeah, it's just a difference, and it's very powerful for the company. That's their marketing, right? If you think about it, who's the chief of marketing at Tesla? It's Elon Musk. But now who's the chief of marketing at Tesla? It's the Cybertruck. These things are going to be driving around, and you're going to get people talking about Tesla. People are going to be Googling it. People are going to be watching YouTube videos on it. Then they're going to learn about SpaceX. Then they're going to learn about Neuralink. Then they're going to learn about, all the other different companies that he has. It's really, really huge. And this is a concept right out of one of my favorite books of all time, One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. This is an exact concept out of that book. Now this place is always packed. It's this little rooftop bar here. Pam says, I learned the time value of money 20 years before Tom was born. Hey, respect. Oh, man. You guys just see that guy almost get taken out by that scooter? No, I mean, Pam, I definitely get your point. I definitely get it. But 2 years? It seems like a lot. Maybe you're right. I guess there's no right or wrong answer, just whatever makes you comfortable, I guess. Alley Star says people will eventually get bored looking at the Cybertruck and the hype will go away. Maybe. But I guess the point is, have you ever seen any other car throughout history, the history of the world, where people stop and took pictures as much as that, or talked about it as much as the Cybertruck? No shot. Not even like Lambos or real big car enthusiasts. Rolls Royce, Bentleys, nobody, it's just like, oh, it's okay, it's a nice car. Nothing like this. I've never seen anything like that. It draws crowds. It's the craziest thing. These are cool conversations tonight, guys. This is a fun stream. Larry Adams is true. One of my best options trades came from Peter Lynch, doing what you're doing right now. Riding from the deep south to Florida and noticed all the new construction and bought URI options. Wow. Nice. Congrats on the trade. That's fantastic. Yeah, I think it's just about, and if you guys haven't read that book, it's a really, really good book. One Up on Wall Street. Now, this was way back in the day, right? Peter Lynch was one of the best was one of the best mutual fund managers of all time at the Fidelity Magellan Fund. And what he would say in the book, right at the time, this was when people would actually go shopping at malls. He would say, take your wife and kids to the mall and pay attention to what they buy. That may sound obvious, but there's a lot of people that just kind of walk through life kind of, ignoring the obvious, I guess is the statement. And if you would have just paid attention to the trending hottest things, chances are those were some of the biggest winning stocks of all time. Starbucks, Monster Beverage, right? Those consumer things at the time, Dunkin' Donuts, that used to be publicly traded. The old ticker for Dunkin' Donuts used to be DNKN, but it was acquired. It's private now. But yeah, it's just important to just pay attention pay attention to what the young generations are really obsessed with. I think a modern day example of a textbook example of that, kind of pay attention to what the kids and what's trending, but in a 2023-24 new age version, is Elf Beauty, right? Ticker symbol ELF, that huge beauty brand. There's this whole almost like cult-like following on YouTube and these other social media platforms of these preteens and whatever you want to call them, kids making makeup tutorials and videos on this, and they're obsessed with this brand. And that was one of the biggest winners of all time. I think the stock is still trading near record highs, even after similar stocks in the sector like Ulta Beauty really fell off and is actually in a bear market now. Guys, this is the Flatiron building. This is now going to be converted from offices to condos. So if you really like the Flatiron building, you can purchase a condo there. But if you guys like the talks we have as it relates to the financial markets, different companies, stocks, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, because we write a free investing newsletter every other Thursday right at the closing bell. And we just sent out our latest issue this Friday, because Thursday was the 4th of July. And we covered a lot. I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. So again, every other Thursday, I write a free investing newsletter for the group here. It gets sent right to your email box Thursday at the close. So for whatever reason you can't tune into the live streams, you're busy, I get it. You can just read all of our content and listen to the audio version of the podcast by scanning the QR code on your screen and punching in your email and checking out our Substack. Now, this is the portal to Dublin, which is now closed down because I think people were unfortunately doing lewd acts in front of the portal. Hey, George says, I don't disagree, Tom, but what trading firm or bank trade off at good price nowadays for those chains? Open Monday morning, stock falls and reality hits. I'm not talking about day trading these companies. I'm talking about finding companies with accelerating earnings and sales growth, accumulating monster positions in these companies and sitting in them for 6 to 8 beat and raise quarters. That's how you make the big money, is by finding companies that have accelerating earnings and accelerating sales, very high pre-tax and after-tax margins, accumulating positions in these companies, paying close attention around earnings, and if they consistently beat expectations and raise guidance, right, that's considered a beat and raise quarter, you stick with the company and you sit down and you sit and you do nothing, right? One of the greatest investors of all time, traders, Jesse Livermore, Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, they say the money is not made in the trading, it's made in the sitting. So buy America's greatest companies and grab some bench and sit down. I think another good example is a really good book, one of my favorites, it's a classic. It's called The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle, or John Bogle. He passed away a few years ago, but he was the founder and CEO of the Vanguard Group, who essentially revolutionized Wall Street, knocking down these egregious fees and creating index funds, very, very low cost index funds that track the broader market. So you could buy like an index like an S&P and sit down and chill. This is the Eklund Gomes team at Douglas Elliman. This team was responsible for the largest sale in New York City over the last 2 years. The duplex on top of Central Park Tower sold for $110 million, I think. The Eklund Gomes team sold that. Massive record breaker for New York City. I think the second largest sale was Ken Griffin from Citadel when he bought 2 complete floors at 220 Central Park South from Grenado. That's the sponsor. And I think that's going to mark at a pivotal point in New York City real estate. That monster sale at Central Park Tower. Hey, Lisa Roberts, what's up? 65 says Vanguard will make you rich. Fired my financial advisor and threw it all in Vanguard. Yeah, I mean, on average, the S&P 500 appreciates roughly 8 to 12% a year because corporate earnings in America generally tend to increase about 8% a year. Right? There's bear markets, you have earnings recessions, but generally speaking, corporate profits in America tend to go up about 8%. That means the market ought to double every 12 years, right? So, and that's kind of an overarching theme we wrote about in the newsletter, is that free market capitalism works, and it's been working since the beginning of time in the United States, and that attracts innovation, that attracts companies. And companies are going to need to raise money, they're going to go public, and we're going to be able to invest in them, right? And chances are, the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500, the Apples of the world, Amazon, Alphabet, Nvidia, Microsoft, ExxonMobil, Berkshire Hathaway. In 12 years, there's probably going to be a whole other set of those companies that grow to trillion-dollar powerhouses. We just don't even know these companies exist yet. So it's not to say the market never goes down. There'll be more bear markets, right? There'll be more, COVID crashes where the market goes down 30% in, 2-3 weeks time, which was nuts. But generally speaking, right, if we believe in that fundamental principle of free market capitalism in America, corporate profits over time will go up, and we will have the ability to participate in that. Man, it's so nice that it's finally quiet. I feel like tonight in New York City was so loud, but now that we're getting closer downtown, man, it's like my ears were ringing going through Midtown. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Larry Adams, Palantir, not for nothing, that one has overcome a lot of its overhead supply, and earnings and sales are ramping. And that is worth a look. Hey, Mark Davis, what's up? Look who it is, our good friend from Canada, Mark. Always a pleasure to have you. Says, hey Tom, hope all is well. Good evening from Niagara Falls. Mark Davis was one of our first viewers ever on the stream. I would do these broadcasts and it would be 2 people for 3 hours. It would be Mark Davis, Sunshine After Rain. We do the stream for 3 hours. And then 5 people joined. And then we went back down to 2 people. And now we have like 800 people joining, which is wild. Oof, look at all these roaches here. Hey, what's up, Mohammed? Good to see you. We are now in Union Square. This is 17th Street, but we're gonna head down to 14th Street, Union Square. It's quite peaceful here. It's usually not this peaceful. During the day, it's tons and tons of people out. Larry Adams, Tom is the new. Let me take a picture of that. I don't know who that is. Alright, I guess the chat's moving too fast. Got it. I know, too many roaches, right?
It's hard.
What do you guys think? Is it too late? It's already 11 o'clock. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it all the way down. Yeah, Pam, ServiceNow, Bill McDermott. Great CEO. You can see the very top of the spire of the World Trade Center.
She let the freak in the house. She let him in.
Someone says Union Square Park. Yes. 안녕하세요. 좋은 주말 보내. I think that means have a nice weekend in Korean. 좋은 주말 보내. Korean viewers, let me know if the pronunciation was correct. This is the main Whole Foods. I'll give you guys a backwards look at the park. We haven't been here in a while. Mark Davis says, what are your thoughts on AI? I think it's going to be I think it's going to really change the world. I think specifically in biotech, as we kind of talked about. I think it's going to be very disruptive, just like any other major technology, but I think what's important to remember is that if you look back throughout history, every major technology that's destroyed jobs, for every job it's destroyed, it's created 5. We just don't know what those jobs are going to be, right? Like the internet created so many jobs, right? In cloud computing, everything is in the cloud now, enterprise software. Those jobs didn't exist 20 years ago. It just wasn't even real. The technology wasn't real. So there's a lot of fear about AI destroying jobs, which I understand, but I think we need to understand that it's going to create a ton of jobs and economic prosperity, like a ridiculous amount. Now, the rebuttal would be, okay, well then what are the jobs? So my response would be, we don't know. We don't know what those jobs are going to be. Because they just don't exist. There's no way of knowing. Hey, Tom H. What's up, Tom? Here's a better shot of the Empire. As I go to Toronto, if you think New York City housing prices are high, see Toronto in the burbs. Yeah, we talked about the craziness going on in Toronto with the unbelievable prices of living. But you know what, everybody? I think it's a little too late to venture all the way down to the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. So let's save that for tomorrow. Maybe I'll start the live stream off tomorrow in Tribeca, and we'll go over Brooklyn Bridge for Sunday, and we'll preface the markets. So if you enjoyed the stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 8:45. If you want to sign up to receive our free investing newsletter, just scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and every other Thursday, right as the market closes, we will email you all of our research for free. But until then, have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you right back here live in New York City tomorrow at 8:45. So Sabrina Fair, appreciate it. George, Ivan, Esmeralda, the one and only Mark Davis, UniJ23, Steph UF, John Sunderland, Austin City Limits, Pha, Joe Driver, Paul McNeely, Nil Gunn, Joseph Hardaway, Jadelson, Hang with Mark Mom, all of our moderators, Ali Star, appreciate it, Cauley, Tom H. See you guys tomorrow. D, take care. Crypto Meme.